Imagine a cozy cafe. Everything's dark oak wood and inviting. It smells of freshly baked cinnamon rolls and freshly brewed coffee. There are books on display and a cat sleeping soundly on the counter. The place is filled with peace and calm, and there are people enjoying their drinks while reading or writing. There are no computers or phones to be seen. It's as if time has stopped and there is nowhere to rush. In another room, there's a small group of people engaged in a quiet conversation, making new connections and learning new things. It's a friendly atmosphere of a tight-knit community that welcomes anyone new. The entire space is filled with magic. Magic that comes from books, chocolate, and mysteriously good bakes. But also from friendship, good conversation, and the cats who always keep you company and deliver exactly what you need. Welcome back to the Cat Coach Cafe. Me and the cat coaches, Aragorn, Apricot, and Prince, are thrilled to have you back. This is a place to slow down, connect with the seasons, and to share our love for all things cats and books. And also a place where I share some of my favorite Czech seasonal traditions, which I hope will inspire you to slow down and notice the season you're in even more. In today's episode, we're going to start preparing for Christmas so we can then fully enjoy the Advent time with as little stress as possible and to be able to truly return to the true meaning of the season. We're also going to welcome another guest at the Cat Coach Cafe, and this time it's going to be Nikki of Lady Lola and her boys Instagram account, who will share the story of her 19-year-old cat Lola, as well as her brothers Teddy and George. As always, I'd like to encourage you to take this time just for yourself and make it your me time. Stop multitasking, cozy up, have your favorite hot drink ready, and relax while listening to today's episode. If you don't have your drink ready, now is the time to get one, as we are starting the same way as always with our drink meditation. So, pause the podcast if you need to get yourself one, and then come back when you're ready. We are about to begin. Take your drink and close your eyes. Hug your mug with the palms of your hands and feel its warmth. Is it too hot? Or is it pleasantly warm? Notice the warmth travel through your body, from your palms to your arms, all the way to your soul. Feel it. Feel the warmth. Now take the mug and bring it closer to your lips, but do not drink just yet. Just inhale the scent of your drink deeply. Let it transport you to a different place entirely. Where are the scents taking you? What can you see? Do you see familiar places or perhaps places that are entirely new and made by your imagination? What images do come to your mind when you smell your drink? Can you see any colors or shapes perhaps? There is no right or wrong here, so just let your imagination flow. Take another deep inhale, taking in all the scent your drink has to offer. Let it fill you with peace and warmth. Exhale. Now, take one more deep breath in, taking in all the scent once more, but this time hold your breath at the peak of your inhale just for a few seconds. And then exhale. Now, with your eyes still closed, take a sip. Notice the taste. Notice the flavor. Does it taste the way you expected it, given its scent? Or has it surprised you, perhaps? How does it make you feel? Take another sip, and this time, let the feeling of warmth wash over your whole being. Beautiful. You are ready to open your eyes. Now that we slowed down so beautifully, let's tune into the season. As we find ourselves in the second half of November, when most leaves have covered the roots of their trees, the world offers little distractions, giving our senses a chance for much needed break. There is little color to be seen, save for the shades of gray and brown, and the air is filled with frost and cold, and the natural world is mostly quiet. This offers a beautiful chance for all our senses to take some much needed rest and turn our attention inwards instead. Embrace the darkness within, sit with it, don't avoid it, and rather try to understand it. Be your best friend. Notice how you feel, what your soul is craving and needs. Notice any of your fears and examine them. In the quiet of the wintertime fast approaching, this is the safe space to do so. How can we heal the scars this year has brought? Or have they really healed? Have we given our wounds enough attention for them to heal? How can you face your fears once and for all? What do you want to change? And what do you miss in your life, perhaps, or want more of? In the quiet of the winter time, we can hear our hearts and our souls speak. Do not avoid the darkness, and instead pay attention, for even darkness has a purpose to serve. Being halfway through November, it is the perfect time to start planning for Christmas. I know you might feel it's a little too early, but trust me, if we want to enjoy calm and peaceful Christmas, now is the time to start. It's been years since I experienced calm Advent time, and no matter how hard I tried and promised myself to do better next year, I always seem to fail. It was only this year when a book came to my attention which chronicles the wintertime and Czech customs for this time of year, which offered an idea of starting to plan for the Advent time already in November. Now I know this may seem obvious to some, but for me, it was a real eye-opener. Well, my sister and I had a habit of putting together a list of Christmas cookies that we were going to make each year already in November. This planning didn't stretch to the other part of planning the Advent or Christmas. So, in case you're on the same boat with me, let's start planning our Christmas together and be beautifully organized for a change so we can experience the Advent time for what it is meant to be, a season of peace and calm and a quiet celebration. Before we get to it though, a little word on Christmas cookies. Czech Christmas cookies, that is. Baking of Christmas cookies is a big deal in the Czech Republic. Every family has its own versions of the traditional cookies recipes that are shared from generation to generation, and they swear by them. Theirs is the best recipe. As a result, there is an infinite number of recipes and different kinds of Christmas cookies, and it is a custom that many different kinds are made. And December is practically dedicated to baking these cookies, as they need to be made in advance for their flavors and softness to fully develop. In our family, we make anything from 11 to 16 different types, which might be on the extreme side, but it's still not unheard of. Other families may opt for about 5 most traditional types of cookies, but I've never heard of anyone who would have less than that. And 11 seems to be quite a common number, which is why good planning is key, as different types of cookies need different time to rest before they reach their perfect consistency, just in time for Christmas. I will share some of my favorite and most traditional recipes with you in the coming weeks and on my Substack. Check the recipe, so keep an eye on it. So, here are some useful tips for what to start thinking about and what to prepare ahead of time. So, for baking the cookies, that would mean to start preparing the vanilla sugar if we want to make a homemade one, as well as shelling the walnuts so it doesn't slow us down when we need them for the recipes. Once you have the Christmas cookies list written down, figure out what ingredients you need to stock up on so you have them at hand, and perhaps take advantage of some seasonal sales for these ingredients before the prices go up because of the rising demand. This is also the perfect time to dry some lemon and orange peel for decoration. Collect some green twigs on your walks for the Advent centerpiece or Advent wreath or any other decorations. Buy those candles, both for the Advent wreath as well as for any other use. Talking of candles for the Advent wreath, let us stop here for a moment. If you want to give it a bit more meaning this year, here is what each color represents. Originally, there were 3 purple candles and 1 pink candle, and an extra candle, a white one, was put in the middle of the wreath, symbolizing the Christ. Purple color symbolizes penance and regret, while pink represents happiness and friendship. If you opt for blue candles, blue represents the night sky and symbolizes hope. Red is traditionally the color of solstice, and it's the color of blood. Green, on the other hand, represents faith and life on earth. White symbolizes Christ, as we mentioned before, as well as peace. And gold symbolizes the color of the sun and represents love. So, which color will you opt for this year? Another thing I always fall behind on is the Advent calendar. 1st of December somehow always takes me by surprise, as the Advent calendar starts on the 1st of the month rather than on the first Advent Sunday. This year, these two collide, but for the most part, they do not. So prepare your Advent calendars now. Figure out what shape they will have this year, get the gifts, and be ready on the 1st. Depending on when you plan to decorate your home with lights, This is the time to check those fairy lights and Christmas lights and see if you need to get some new ones before they sell out. And again, so you're not caught by surprise. Make a list of people you'd like to send a Christmas card to this year so you know how many to buy or make if you're feeling crafty, so you don't have too many or too little. Prepare for the St. Nicholas Day. If you're not familiar with this festive day, I will share all about it in the next episode. And if you do know it and celebrate it, just know now is the time to get the presents ready. We'll talk all about the tradition in more detail next time, I promise. If you'd like to gift some homemade gifts this year, now is the time to figure out what they will be. And once again, get all that you need for them so you can get crafty. I tend to buy Christmas presents all throughout the year. Whenever I come across something that I think would make a great present. But if you're unlike me and don't buy Christmas presents all throughout the year, now is the time to sit down and make a list. Start with the people you want to get presents for, and then the gift ideas. Remember, shopping in December may be a little overwhelming, so the sooner you get to it, the better. If you need further support organizing and preparing your Christmas, there is a special Christmas planner I put together, which you can download for free at the link that I will leave for you in the show notes. This planner will help you with organizing gifts, cards, the meals, everything you need. So don't hesitate to download it. The second half of November is also a time for some major cleaning up. And that includes our physical spaces, but also our lives and our souls. In order for something new to come into our lives, something old needs to die or be cleared away so it can make space for the new. This cleaning up process is a part of natural cycle, and we should make space for it too, just as the nature does. Our ancestors would do 3 major cleanups throughout the year: before Advent, after Christmas, and before Easter, welcoming New Year, New Spring, and New Harvest. Remember that by cleaning up our homes, we clean up in our inner lives too. Winter would also be time to repair what's broken and throw away what can't be fixed. We can once again apply this to our personal lives as well. What needs fixing and what can't be fixed anymore, and it's time for it to leave your life and make space for something new. Give it your attention now. I know this all may seem like a little too much, so we're gonna take a break here and welcome our guest. And then I'll share more self-care tips and traditions with you. This week at the Cat Coach Cafe, we welcome Nikki, the owner, or shall I say, the servant of Lady Lola, a 19-year-old cat that captivated people's hearts all around the world through her Instagram account, Lady Lola and her boys. Advocating for both senior cats and mental well-being, Nick is here to share Lola's story as well as her own. So let's start with the most important question that everybody will want to know, which is, how is Lola doing right now?
She is doing brilliantly well. She's just had a complete clear bill of health from the vets in the last couple of weeks, given the scare that we had. But her medication is perfect for her for right now, and she's bouncing around as much as Teddy and George at the moment. which
Wow,
is
it's
amazing
amazing.
to watch given the 17-year age gap that they have between them.
That's amazing. So Lola is 19 now, and
Yep,
the other two are 2 years old, correct?
that's right. Yep.
Yeah, well, that's a massive age gap. So, can you tell us a little bit about Lola's origin story? Like, how did she come
Yeah.
into your life? And yeah, just tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah. So she came into my life 19 and a half years ago. A friend of ours, Cat, had had kittens. Um, and he was trying to find homes for them. Unfortunately, he didn't have much uptake in people wanting to take them on, and they were going to be going to a shelter. Um, and I've been a cat lover my whole life. And I said, I was living with two friends at the time. We were doing a house share. And I said, do you know what, actually, I'd really like to get a kitten. I just want something that's mine and something I can build a relationship with, etc. My two friends said, actually, well, if you're going to get one, we're going to get one as well. So we went to look at them, and there was one person that decided they were going to have one, and that was my mum and dad. And not a lot of people know this story. Actually, they decided that they wanted to have Bo. Her name's Bo, who's sadly no longer with us. So she went off to live with my parents, and then there were three left. So I chose Lola, and a lot of people always ask me where did her name come from. I just always loved the name Lola, and when I
Okay.
saw her, she was Lola,
She was Lola.
100%. She was Lola without doubt. And my two friends at the time had the two boys, so we were all in a house share. One was called Luca, one was called Louis, and we had Lola. So they're the three L's that they were always known by. And we lived together. So that's how she came to be with us. So she was with her birth brothers all the way
Oh,
through. What ended up happening is that my friend moved back to Ireland to go be with her parents. So we were going to be taking on Luca as well. And then my other friend decided that she would be moving as well. So I was left with quite a dilemma of I had one cat that I was responsible for that turned into three overnight. And I couldn't bear the prospect of separating them
mm,
because they were a unit and they were together. So
yeah.
that's kind of like how they came to live with us.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Because I too had three brothers,
Yep.
and I could never imagine separating them. And every
Yeah.
time I hear stories, even of cats in shelters who are like bonded brothers, so I
Oh,
can't bear the idea that somebody would separate them. And I'm so grateful to the shelters who actually don't do that, that they
yeah.
literally post about them saying, we're only gonna give them away if you take both of them,
Yeah.
or even more of them sometimes.
Yeah.
Because, and I think it's, especially if you don't have any cats yet, it might seem overwhelming. Like I certainly didn't know, like when I decided I'm gonna keep all of them, I didn't really thought it through, you know. It
You
was like
don't.
I
You
didn't
don't
know
know.
what I was getting myself into, but I just knew that I can't separate them and I can't
Yeah.
separate myself from them. So I was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I'm just gonna have to figure out a way to do it. I just didn't think
Yeah.
about how it's not possible. I just took them in.
You just
And
feel
I
like it's
think,
the right thing to do.
yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that, as I said, even though it may seem overwhelming to people as when they, for example, considering adopting a first cat, it's just so much better for the cats to have cat friends or even cat siblings around. They
Definitely.
they just bring so much more happiness into your life, just as you said, because they are this unit,
Yeah.
and it's a whole different experience, and it
Yeah.
gives you so much more that sense of family.
Definitely.
So I would
Definitely.
really support everybody who's listening and is hesitant perhaps about taking even just two kittens or two senior cats that are
Yeah.
bonded. It's like it's just so much better for everybody, I would say.
Definitely. And they keep each other company. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
Logistically, as human beings, we have work, we have other commitments, we may have family,
exactly.
we may have caring responsibilities and life in general. So we aren't always able to be present at home 24 hours a day, and it is a proven fact with cats that they like to have company.
Yeah. I always think about like how would I like to live in a world where I'm the only one of my kind,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah.
So, so I always think
Absolutely.
it's so much better for them to see, their kind around.
Yeah.
They can really
Definitely.
understand each other, even though they really do understand us really well, but it's
Yeah,
still not the same thing.
yeah, I agree completely with that. That's why I couldn't separate them. So we
Yeah,
had all three together.
yeah, exactly. So lovely. Since you had Lola for 19
Yeah,
years now, there certainly must have been some changes in her, not personality that stays
yeah,
the same, but
yeah,
like she must have changed throughout the years. So
yeah,
could you tell us a little bit about those changes that you noticed as she
yeah,
aged, or what she was like a
yeah,
kitten, and how
yeah.
that changed?
So when she was younger, so I'll have to make this clear that we live in the UK. We've always lived in very, very safe areas. And I know that some people have cross opinions about letting cats out, but we've always lived in very safe locations. That she was a very active hunter.
Wow.
Yes, yes. Her two brothers were not hunters. She was, and she'd very frequently in the summer months bring me mice to my bedroom so that when I
Nice.
woke up, she would be stood by my bed with a little present.
It's
So I had
everybody's
to,
dream.
yeah, everybody's dreams. Every morning when I wake up, I had to be really careful, kind of like, oh, where am I putting my feet just in case? But there was quite often a little mouse there, which I think,
Oh.
showed her appreciation. So she absolutely loved going outside for adventures and whatnot. Um, so she was very, very active when she was little. Um, I think the biggest change, and it's strange, isn't it? Because when you have, family around you or pets, you don't often notice the changes so much. And I find this with my son, that if his grandparents haven't seen him for a month, they're like, "Oh, you've really grown." But I don't notice it so much because I'm with him all the time. It's kind of the same with pets. But I think the biggest change that I noticed in her is the loss of her brothers. My grief was tough, really, really tough. And it was in, two boys within 2 years. And it really impacted me profoundly. But her so much so, it completely altered her personality. And she had gone from, being a very happy and contented cat. She would sit on my lap, she'd actively seek out my company, to literally hiding under the bed. She
Mm.
would come out in the middle of the night and I could hear her crying. She was literally, what I felt, she was looking for them. She had no company at all, as like you say, of her same kind. And it just, the howling, just, it was soul destroying.
So then when you decided to adopt uh, Teddy and George.
Yep. So there was quite a big decision around that.
Mm.
Twofold, really. One, because Lola was very, very clearly struggling,
Mhm.
but also my son has additional needs. So he has ADHD and anxiety and OCD. He did not cope with the second loss very well. So
Mm.
when Louis Cat passed away, it was quite traumatic circumstances. Um, he was having nightmares.
Mm.
He didn't want to go to school. He was very, very depressed over losing them. Um, and he'd kind of like said in kind of like the months after that, it would be really nice to get a friend for Lola, and could I have a friend too? Which
Oh.
I thought was very sweet of my son to say.
Mm.
And, my husband at the time he wasn't anti it, but he was like, we've gone through some really big loss here. Is now the right time to do it? And, I said, I don't think my heart is ready to love again because I'm grieving Louis and Luca. She was struggling under the bed all of the time. She wasn't eating as much as what she did before either. So that was a huge concern because she was losing weight. And it just so happened that I was chatting to one of the school mums and her cats had had a litter of kittens. And she showed me some pictures of them. And I said, "Oh, how old are they?" And she said, "Oh, they're born April." And I thought, "Oh, okay." I said, "What date in April were they born?" 5th of April, which is the Lola's birthday, Lola and her
Oh,
brother's
wow.
birthday.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like, wow, okay, it's just very profound. And she said, "I've got two boys left." So I felt like I'd been stunned, to be completely frank. It
You
felt
don't need
quite,
more signs than that, do
I
you?
didn't need another sign. No, I didn't need another sign. And So I think in my husband's head, we were potentially going to get one as company for her. And there was a big decision over, are we going to adopt a senior cat? And the reason why we didn't at that particular point was because we felt that our son had gone through too much loss.
Mm.
And I was very, very nervous at that particular point of introducing a senior cat because it had impacted his mental health so much. And to be honest, we'd gone through a lot of grief ourselves.
Perfect
So
sense.
I went to see them without telling my son, of course, because we weren't completely convinced at that point. And Teddy just came running over to me.
Mm.
And it just, I don't know. And then there was George, and I could see that George and Teddy were exactly as you say, together.
Mm.
And they were absolutely inseparable. So I left there after seeing them saying, actually, yes, I think we'll have both of them. And then I had to come home and say to my husband, yeah, we're definitely going to do it then. So it's all good. However, it's going to be two. Two? He said, we've had three cats down to one, back up to three again. And I said, it just brings us so much joy. And yeah, the decision was made. It was absolutely the right thing to do.
I just feel three is like the best number. I can't
Yeah,
help it. I don't know if I'm influenced by the fact that I started with three, but I just
yeah.
feel like three is the best number.
I agree with you completely. I agree with
Because
you
that sort
completely.
of makes it a little family. Well, when
Yeah,
it's two, it's still a family, but I don't know. It's just something about
yeah.
the number
Something
three.
about the three. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes it
absolutely.
more lively. How did Lola react?
Yeah, so we were really, really careful with that. So we had essentially swapped blankets during the process. So we were doing scent swapping so that
Mhm.
she would be aware of their scent before they arrived and vice versa. And to be honest, we read up a lot on it around the introduction piece that was going to be really important. So we'd put the boys into the kitchen, so they'd had the run of the kitchen, and we let Lola have the run of the rest of the house. So her predominant base is always our bedroom anyway. That's where she likes to be. But yeah, that kind of like first introduction was lots of sniffing around, few hisses here, but actually they've been absolutely fine. Teddy's been awesome. He grooms her,
Oh.
which is really sweet. He tentatively does that, and they just kind of like push in to snuggle around her, like keeping her warm, which is really sweet. But she loves watching them. She'll watch them for ages when they're having like their play fights and they're jumping around, and she just watches them, and you can see she's really entertained by it. And
Okay.
she's not under the bed anymore at all, ever. So I think
Mm.
that's been the biggest thing for us in knowing that it was absolutely the right thing to do. She's upstairs, she's downstairs, she's wherever she wants to be.
If you were to describe Lola and some of her like special, I don't know, hobbies, quirks, or something like that, what would you tell us about her?
So you probably wouldn't believe it, but she has a profound ability to jump.
Okay, even at her
She,
age still.
at her age,
Wow.
she will very often get onto the bedside windowsill and she can jump onto the bed. She can jump up onto the bed with no problem at all. She
Mm.
can still run a lot. Um, she's on a medication called Silencia, and that's been a game changer for her. It's for her arthritis pain, and it's just been incredible for her.
Mm.
Um, she has this lovely quirk of waking me up very early in the morning. She knows that the treats are in the bedside cabinet, Lola's special stash. And she'll very often go and stand on that bedside table, meowing very, very loudly. And in her grand age, her meows got louder. So it's like, come on, mum, wake up. I would like a treat now. Like it's 4 a.m. But yeah, she's good. And like I say, she's a true matriarch because she really does keep the boys in line, and they've got a massive, massive respect for her. She
Mm.
she won't hesitate to give them a bop over the nose. They nope, that's it now. It's very
Oh,
sweet.
it's so lovely. And what about the boys?
They're angels. Yeah, I describe them as my angels because, you know, they helped heal broken hearts. I've never had cats like Teddy and George before in the sense of the amount of affection that they give.
Mm.
Um, they like to be held like babies, which I've never come across before. I literally I can walk around the house with Teddy in my arms, and he's just flopped in my arms, and he's just looking at me, gazing at me. He's just very, very happy and content. They are inseparable, the boys. They love to be together, and I think it's amazing how they've been with Lola because, as I say, they tuck in together.
Mm.
And I have put a few photos on our Instagram around that because we've been so blessed, so blessed. But their personalities are like something I've never come across in cats before. It's
Mm.
That's why I call them our angels because I feel like they were sent to us
Mm.
to heal our hearts. And they are a massive part of our family and they make us laugh as well. They're two, they'll be three in April, whereas she'll turn 20 in April.
Wow.
It's crazy when you think about it. But I think it felt right. It was probably about 4, maybe 5 months ago now that I felt that it was right to introduce them to the page. It felt wrong not having them on there. It felt wrong just filming Lola and just talking about Lola because they are our family. And I felt that they had a right to be on the page as well. And we've always done the honest thing on the page. We've talked about the
Mm.
ups, we've talked about the downs, and it's really important for us to be open and transparent about things because I think what I want for our page is not just the shiny side of Instagram. It's like this is actually real life.
Mm.
So when she was poorly a few weeks ago, I shared it.
Your account is really dedicated to promoting two things, which is senior cats
Yep.
and mental health.
Yep.
How did you get the idea to share Lola with the world in the first place? Was that exactly these two things that you wanted to share with the world?
Good question. So, as I mentioned, I have a son with additional needs that takes up a lot of my time. I also work full time as well. And my husband had said to me around Christmas time last year, Nix, you really need to have something for you. You really need a hobby. And he was trying to say to me, look, I just need something else that's for me in my life.
Mm.
And in another world, I would have loved to have done photography. I've always enjoyed taking pictures. Um, so that was something that I was keen to do something more on. But in my own role, I do a lot of work around mental health and well-being. So I'm a strong advocate of that. And with my son being neurodiverse, I've learned a lot about neurodiversity, how that impacts people, a sense of belonging, and yeah, just keeping that focus point there. Um, so I just thought, why don't I just do an Instagram? Why don't I just maybe do some videos of Lola? And it was just Lola to start with, because it just felt to me around her age and just so humble, so humble. And to really sort of post some nice pictures, videos with her with some nice quotes. What happened was I posted a couple of reels, and I must say I was not knowing what I was doing really, but having a good go at it. And it was probably about reel 6 or 7, and I'd gone to bed and I woke up the following morning and there was 10,000 people that were following us. And I had the biggest shock of my life because I said to my husband, "Oh my goodness, what's happened here?" And he looked at it because he was like, "How could that even be possible?" And I was like, "I don't know." Um, and it made me really happy because it gave me confidence that actually the things that I wanted to talk about and the issues that I wanted to raise awareness around were actually being well received by people. I also started feeling really responsible to make sure that I did it right. Um, so
That's where the overthinking starts.
the overthinking starts because you suddenly think, oh my goodness, all of these people are going to start seeing your content. And there is a bit of imposter syndrome because you see all of these amazing cat accounts out there where, they've got really high tech stuff and it's really, but actually, I got over that quite quickly. And I just thought, look, I've always talked about it as being our little corner of the internet and our community. And that's where that was all born from that. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yeah. And I have to say that that's exactly what I love about your account so much is that it really just because there's so many other accounts that like have like funny cat
Yeah,
videos or but your account is like just like you said the word humble. Your
yeah,
account feels humble. It just shows like a humble, dignified senior
yeah,
cat with
yeah,
all her grace
yeah,
and on top of that, like really beautiful way to share some thoughts about mental health, that it's
yeah.
not just about the cat, but the cat is sort of the messenger,
Yes.
which is sort of something what I'm trying to do myself with the Cat Coach Diaries, even though in
Yeah,
my Cat Coach Diaries, my cats speak directly to the reader,
yeah,
but it's sort of the same idea. It's also concern about mental health, basically, or well-being more like, and
yeah,
how to live our lives more fully and not overcomplicate them. And I just feel that because I used to write before that without the voice of the cat, and
yeah,
I find that people are so much more open to listening when there is a cat involved or
yeah,
any animal really.
yeah.
So that's really beautiful. And I just honestly, I myself, whenever I go to your account or see your post, what I love about it the most is the sort of peacefulness it gives
Yeah.
me. It's so lovely.
That makes me happy because I just wanted it to feel like a big hug to
Yeah.
people that they would, stop and watch something that's, I don't know, 6 seconds, 18 seconds, however long it is, or a photo,
Yeah.
and just feel really good about themselves.
And then
It's quite simple, the effect on it, but actually it's the main message that we send throughout the page that we just really want people, to think, feel really good about themselves.
yeah. And I love that message it sends about senior cats as well. That's
Oh,
the like
yeah.
calm and something really precious. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
love that.
precious.
And it,
It's an absolute honor to have her.
yeah, and then it also inspires you to cherish just pure moments more, like including
Yeah,
with your cat, but also generally in your life, I feel.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's really, it's a beautiful place to be on your account on Instagram, I have to say.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Very kind of you.
Talking about mental health,
Yep,
would you say cats affected your mental health, having cats or being around cats?
100%. 100%.
In
And
what
that's
way?
another, and it's another part of the ethos of the page as well, is that, if I'm working too late, one of the cats will come up and they'll literally push me into kind of like, come on, stop, 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 stop. Lola has always been incredibly in tune with me if I've been upset or whatever. She just taps into the emotions, which interestingly the boys have picked up on
Mhm.
exactly the same. But never underestimate the therapy a cat can give you. They are therapy, and I often think we just don't deserve them
Mm.
because they're just amazing. They say about the healing properties of a cat pairing, what it actually does to you. And it's
Yeah.
it's so true that, you could be, having a stressful moment at work or a family situation or just life in general, and your cat comes and sits on your lap purring and they just look at you and you just think, oh, I don't feel stressed anymore. I feel
Yeah.
great, you know? So
And
they
all
do
the
have
other
a big,
things don't matter so much, right?
no, it's perspective is everything, isn't it, really?
Yeah. We have a
Perspective,
hab
really.
we have a habit with my cat Aragorn that he always comes to me when I go to bed to sleep and we cuddle and he purrs and he's one of these cats that his purrs are so loud. Like he gives everything to it.
Yeah.
Um, but then on the odd occasion that he doesn't come in the evening, I feel like I can't fall asleep because I don't have that sort of calming therapy, that ritual to fall
He
to
sounds
sleep.
like George. George does that. He'll jump up on the bed. That's his like evening ritual thing because he's a very, very shy cat, actually. He's quite big, but he's probably the biggest out of the three, but he's the most shy. But every night he will literally jump on the end of the bed and he will stomp, stomp, stomp right up all over me. And then he flops, he literally just drops, like flops into my arms, purring like an engine until he's done. And then he'll get back up again and then he'll go and sleep at the end of the bed because he knows the dynamics are that Lola sleeps next to me.
Oh,
And none of them have ever pushed that boundary. They know that that's where she sleeps. They understand the dynamics very well. And actually, what she has done is she's really taught them manners. She really
mm.
has. She's been very quick to give them a bop on the nose if they're stepping out of line. She's a real grandma.
Well,
Which I
that's what it
always
should
talk
be.
about. She's got so much gumption about her. Like
Mm.
you would think for an old cat that she'd be weak and unsure. She's none of those things. She's an absolute matriarch who rules the roost, 100%.
Oh, that's so beautiful. If you wanted to explain to someone why they should give a chance to a senior cat, what is special about them? What would you tell them?
I would just say to them that it is the best moments of their lives. Without doubt, it is for me being the most enjoyable part of her is looking after her in her senior life. And that is where the humbleness comes in.
Mm.
Um, they need nothing from you, just love, of
Mm.
course, food and things like that. But they are so calm, they're so chilled. They want for nothing. They just all they want is your friendship. Um, I would absolutely not hesitate to adopt more senior cats in the future. Definitely, it's something that's become very special to us. Um, you would never, ever, ever regret that decision to adopt a senior cat. It sounds crazy, but they are in the prime of their life, but in
Mm.
a different way.
Yeah,
And they're so great to be around.
yeah, I agree. It's like we have two kittens, neighbors' kittens in our garden now, and they're about 4 to 5 months old.
Yeah,
And as much fun as they are, and it brings memories of my cats when they were that age, I
yeah,
can see the difference between them now. Like, and I wouldn't necessarily say that kittens are better because there's so much work even. Like you
yeah.
have to train
Oh,
them, you have to learn, you have to learn to live together, you have to build the boundaries.
yeah.
It's a lot of work. So I
They have a lot
always
of
say,
energy.
yeah, I always say if you don't have that much time even or energy, but you want a cat, then your go-to cat is a older cat because
Definitely.
they're, or if you don't want like chaos, I don't know,
Yeah,
then just go for the older ones because they're so calm and cuddly and they just, as you said, they all they want is to be loved and to give
yeah.
love. So
Such great companions. Such great
yeah,
companions. And I
yeah,
think, we talk about it a lot around sort of like the kitten side of things, but I think, if you are new to having cats, the kitten stage goes so quickly,
it does. Yeah,
so quickly. You blink and they go from a tiny little thing in your hand
yeah,
to fully grown very, very quickly. So, they're super cute when they're little, but I think that there is something truly amazing about older cats. And, sadly, they are the last to be adopted from rescues.
yeah. That breaks my heart every time
It
when I,
does. It does with me as well because we created we wanted to do some charity work as well um from our Instagram, and actually we've partnershiped with a rescue who do absolutely amazing work, and it's called Lola's Mission.
oh,
So
that's
we
beautiful.
are helping them with quarterly donations and going to see them. Um, but I can see there that it's even, the kittens will always go first, always.
Yeah,
Um, and even if the cat's 2 or 3 years old, they wouldn't be adopted as quickly as the kittens.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what, we did a reel on that when we went to see them, and we were just showing these amazing, amazing cats. and it's just true. The kittens always go first. The waiting lists for kittens are huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So go adopt a senior.
Yeah. Or not even a senior, just an older cat,
Yeah,
right? Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they could be 3 years old, 5 years old, 7 year
Yeah.
old, And often
Like,
people worry about, what the cost will be in terms of looking after senior cats. The thing is, if you're going to have a cat, you're going to have costs anyway. So you have to
yeah.
factor that in, get your insurance, make sure that you've got everything in place because it's going to happen at some point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, and that is the responsibility of being a pet owner, is knowing that there will be costs attached.
Yeah.
And actually, if you're getting a kitten, you're going to have to pay to get them spayed anyway or neutered. If they're a
Yeah.
bit older than that, the likelihood is they already have had that. So you may be saving some money.
That is very true. Yeah. And that made me think of that when you go for the older cat, even if it's just 3 years old, for example,
Yeah.
I feel that they are possibly going to be much more loyal and grateful
Yeah.
because they already experienced something else and what
Yeah.
it is like not to have home,
Yes.
which is something I love my kids dearly, but I
Yeah.
can tell sometimes like they're so spoiled because they've never been with anybody else but
Yeah.
us, so they
Yeah.
don't actually know
Yeah.
what situation they could be in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes them a little bit spoiled sometimes.
I
And
hear you.
so so
Guilty as
yeah,
charged.
I think that's also another benefit. Like
Yeah.
cats know and they appreciate and they will be all the more grateful to you. So
Yes. Unconditional love.
exactly. Yeah. Could you tell us about the charity that you support?
Yeah, so it's a charity called Lulu's Rescue, based quite close to us actually, in about 20 minutes down the road. And they look after unwanted strays. They will have people that can no longer look after it's cats and dogs actually, that are dropped off there. But the work that they do is just they don't say no to an animal,
Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
they always help them. But they have this massive program of rehoming. And I absolutely love following them and knowing them because the work they do is absolutely amazing.
Mm.
And it's important to help where you can do. And that can be, it's not always financially, it's in a multitude of different ways, isn't it? And raising awareness is one of those.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing to go see them, but I think when you do see it for yourself, when you do go into a rescue centre, the humbleness that is created from that.
Mm. Yeah.
But it spurs you want to do more. It spurs you want to help more. But what can you personally do? What's the tiny little thing that you might be able to do that can help? And sometimes that's being in a supermarket. And I don't know if you have these, but in our supermarkets, that we have these donation points,
Mm.
and you can go and buy an extra box of cat food or packet of treats or some cat litter or something, buy it and then put it in the donation piece. We have that in a lot of our pet shops here as well, that they
Mm.
have big, 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 places where you can just go and drop these into. So if, I am going to buy the cats some treats, I buy an extra couple of packets and then we can put them in. And my son comes with me a lot and I've always encouraged him to do that. So I'm like, okay, which treats are you going to go and buy for the rescues? So he wouldn't dream of going in there and not doing that.
Mm.
um and that's whether or not we spend £1 or £5. It's what we are able to do at that
Yeah.
given moment. So it could even be going to a rescue centre and donating time,
Yeah,
just
for
spending
sure.
time just to stroke them,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Because
give
there's
them
so
some
many that they
affection.
don't have time to, you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
And they
absolutely. Yeah.
they can be on their own for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
So
And
donating time is another thing. And we've
yeah.
been really lucky recently because you know the platform that we have, we've been lucky to work and have some collaborations. And I've been able to reach out to some of these people to ask for donations, and they've been only too happy to help.
Mm.
Last week, even we took some deliveries, and I'm just thinking this is just going to be amazing to take these up to the rescue centre. I think having Lola's mission there will always be a legacy for her,
Yeah.
regardless of anything that happens in the future. Um, and I'm not one to shy about that. And I think, on our page, I'm really open and transparent about things. And that's why it's all the positives. We know what's inevitable, but she is truly, truly amazing. And we always just want to celebrate that. We
Mm.
know that the obvious is there. We know that the obvious is going to happen one day. When it happens, it will absolutely destroy me. And I know that it will do. But what I will know is I've made every day count with her. And for her to have this charity piece is just something that it's right up there for me in terms of what we wanted to do. So, you know, I want to thank all of our followers for being there and supporting us all the way through, because that's what's enabling us to do this.
On the fourth Thursday of November, Americans celebrate the Thanksgiving Day. Though this holiday is connected to a specific event in American history, giving thanks for the year's harvest and good fortune has been a common custom at this time of year across all religions and cultures in the past. Harvest celebrations with big feasts were commonly celebrated by ancient Greeks, Romans, and Egyptians, who honored the goddesses of earth, fertility, and agriculture. So let's all take a moment to pause and give thanks to our first mother, Mother Earth, who shared her gifts with us and that we accepted with a grateful heart. Let's not take the food on our plate for granted. And let's all make a little promise together here and now to take better care of Mother Nature in the year to come, in any small way we can, to truly show our gratitude. Because actions speak louder than words. We can also use this moment in time to extend our gratitude for all this year has brought to us. What are the things you are grateful for this year? What are the gifts this year brought to your life? What are the lessons? Take your journal, light up a candle, and have a little gratitude session with yourself. I promise you will feel so much happier and lighter afterwards. The last celebration before the Advent time would take place on the 25th of November, the St. Catherine's Day. This event was organized purely by women who picked the musicians and paid for them, as well as for the spendings of their dancing partners, whom the ladies chose. They would also prepare small gifts for their dancing partners in form of homemade pastry. Men were allowed to pick their partners only once during this feast, and that was exactly at midnight. Perhaps this might be an idea for a new tradition in your life. Get together with your female friends, invite the men of your lives, and prepare some small gifts and appreciate them. But above all, have some fun together. After St. Catherine's Day, all the entertainment would end and peaceful Advent time would begin. Remember, we are in the darkest part of the year right now, when the days are the shortest and darkest, and it's natural we feel tired and have less energy. We tend to seek the comfort of our blankets and our comfy sofas and just generally want to relax and sleep more. Do not fight it. It's completely natural. Just as nature, we cannot produce all year round, and our energy changes just like the nature does. So, get that cozy read, perhaps Chocolat by Joan Harris, or a classic like Little Women, or maybe November calls for something a little more spooky still, like Agatha Christie maybe. The choice is ultimately yours, But I love to hear what you're drawn to at this time of year. Nothing like sharing reading tips. So make sure to let me know either in the comments or on my Instagram at moneyforce. And if you're up for some romance and prefer to watch a film, maybe, my all-time favorite for this time of year is, for some reason, The Lake House with Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves. I highly recommend it. As the days are getting chillier and chillier, I thought I'd leave you with a simple recipe for a warming up drink. Perhaps one that you can try next time for our meditation. This is a much healthier way to warm ourselves up rather than the traditional mulled wine. Taken from the book The Rhythm of the Year by Czech author Hanka Semanova, this drink helps with blood circulation, warms us up from the inside, removes mucus, and fights any stagnation in the body. So here it goes. Using a mortar, add 4 tablespoons of cardamom pods, 4 tablespoons of cloves, 4 tablespoons of ginger powder, 2 to 3 cinnamon sticks broken to small pieces, and 1 tablespoon of whole black peppercorns. Crush in the mortar and put into a well-sealable glass jar. To make your tea, take 1/4 teaspoon of the mix, pour over some water, and bring to boil and leave it to simmer for just a little bit. Once your tea cools down a little, you can add some honey for a bit more of a sweet flavor. This mix is also perfect to add to your black tea if you make some. And with that, I'll see you in the next episode of the Cat Coach Cafe on November 29th, just before tonight full of magic on St. Andrew's Day. So make sure to tune in time so you don't miss a chance to see a glimpse of your future on the 30th of November. Before you go, me and the Cat Coaches would appreciate it so very much if you could give the podcast a follow, leave a rating or a review, as it will help to reach wider audience. We would also love to see you over on Cat Coach Diaries on Substack and on Instagram at either moneyforce or Cat Coach Diaries. All links are in the show notes as always, including the Winter Evenings Magic Spotify playlist I have ready for you. See you in the next episode. Until then, stay cozy, stay warm, and cuddle those cats of yours.